practical halacha lens in of itself. And now we are concentrating on Purim, once again using the excellent notes of Rab Yonatan Nakson. I think he's connected to the Orthodox Union. So I thought we will take this, this might be into a couple of few-part series in of itself, but now we are going to speak about the halacha according to the Sephardic practice for Purim over here. So we're going to get started over here. The first question is the time of the obligation to hear or read the Megillah. What time do we do it? When is it? Is it one's obligated? How is it? So one is obligated to read or hear Megillah to Esther, both on the night of Purim and during the day, so 2 times. For the nighttime reading, one may read the Megillah at any point throughout the night until Alot HaShachar. That will be the din, let's just say. And for the daytime reading, one may read the Megillah from Netzach Hama until Shkia. So that will be the, let's just say, the protocol over here, the instructions of what one can do, what one cannot do. Now, I believe the source from this is actually Shulchan Aruch in chapter 687. Okay, now, next one. One may read the Megillah after Alot HaShachar without a beracha, without a blessing, if he did not read it at night. However, in, let's say, rare circumstances, extenuating circumstances, the Megillah may be read with a blessing before Alot HaShachar for the daytime reading. So this is the next source, I believe, comes from the Chazon Avadi on page 48 of Purim, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, next one. If one did not read the Megillah during the daytime, and now Shkia is approaching that threshold of time period, he should only recite a blessing on the reading if he's able to finish it. So he's got to be able to finish it at this point in time. Before Ben Hashmashot, otherwise a blessing should not be recited over here. Okay, so if one did not read the Megillah at night, let's say, there is no way to compensate for the misreading over here. So the Birkei Yosef actually brings that down, I believe, in chapter 687 and also Mishnah Berurah. And it just shows how one should be careful and try and get there on time. Okay, now, if possible, the Megillah should preferably be read at night after the Zman of Rabbeinu Tam. However, if this will, let's say, make inconvenience, especially for the congregation, then it may be recited at an earlier time over here. So that's interesting. So that's maybe some people might wonder why we delay it or we make it later. That might be the reason why. Okay, actually the source of that over here is Yabia Omer in volume number 1 in the Miluim for Siman 43. We'll bring that down. Okay, friends. One who can't hear both readings, what he can't hear, different reasons, maybe why he can't. If one is unable to hear both Megillah readings, but will be able to hear one of them, he should hear the daytime reading instead of the nighttime. So seemingly, from over here, daytime is more important. Remember, these scenarios can happen, especially, let's just say hypothetically, that someone is, let's say, for example, is in the army, for example, and they're going to be on duty and they can't get out, but they can choose beforehand what time period they can actually be available for, so they should choose the daytime. Anyone joining in at the moment, you're joining into the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We are learning about the laws of Purim over here, special edition over here. Good to see so many people live, subscribe, like, and we're learning and get excited for Purim. I'll have a tea with that. I'm going to say a blessing for this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro. Now, how about eating and drinking before hearing the Megillah? Can someone do that or not? One may not eat a meal before listening to the Megillah for either the nighttime or daytime reading. So we're talking about just before the readings in of itself. Now, number 11, one may eat or drink fruit, vegetables, coffee, or other drinks, and lessen a kibetza of bread or mezonot before hearing the Megillah. So it's got to be a certain amount. However, one who is, let's say, machmir, stringent, not to eat or drink anything before hearing the Megillah is meshubach, is praiseworthy over here. And this is actually brought down from the Chazon Avadi in page 95 of Purim, respectively. Okay, next one, number 12. One who celebrates Purim on the 14th of Adar and finds it difficult to concentrate when hearing the Megillah after fasting on timely tests there. We know the fast for Esther naturally will be on Yud Gimel, will be the day before. He may eat just enough to help him concentrate. However, before he eats, he should ask someone to remind him to go to the Megillah reading so that he should not get distracted by eating and then miss it over here. So it's, let's just say over here, this is very important. Let's say this is allowance over here, and this is brought down from the Mishnah Berurah in chapter 692, number 16. Okay. Number 13. Some people have the custom to immerse in a mikveh, a ritual bath, before or after mincha, prior to reading the Megillah. So that's always a good idea. To come pure when one is reading the Megillah, reading this from a Chemdat Yamim, I believe. Okay, now reading the Megillah with a minyan, is it important or not? I remember 4 years ago, we had the coronavirus and we were in isolation, and we needed, obviously I couldn't go to the synagogue over there because of the rules and everything else, so we brought someone and paid someone to come and read the Megillah inside the house. So we didn't have a minyan there, but obviously ideal, one should have a minyan. But let's find out. One should most preferably find a minyan of people who are reading the Megillah and take part in their minyan. However, if you cannot find a minyan, then the Megillah may be read without one, let's say over here. So that's, okay. While one should preferably go to a larger minyan to hear the Megillah reading, so obviously, let's say if it's a huge amount of people there, it's better. If by praying with a larger minyan, one will not be able to hear the Megillah read properly, because obviously it'll be much more noisy. He may pray with any minyan. So ideally go to a very large synagogue where there's a lot of people, but if it's going to be disturbing, let's just say over here, then have a few people. Number 15, a Sephardi who attends an Ashkenazi Megillah reading or vice versa has fulfilled this obligation. So a Sephardi person, let's just say, wants to go to an Ashkenazi service for one reason or another. Obviously, in many of these synagogues, it might be doing various different pronunciations. For example, it's fine. That's okay. He fulfills his obligation. Okay. Sephardim should make their own minyan for the Megillah reading and not attend an Ashkenazic Megillah reading, ideally. Even if the Ashkenazi reading will have a larger congregation. So that's not going to help their larger congregation. One should ideally daven in a Sephardi place. It happened to be Sephardi. This was brought down over here in notes. Okay, those who are obligated to hear the Megillah reading. So who is obligated over here? It's number 20. Men and women, including converts, are obligated to read or hear the Megillah. Okay, that's first things first. Number 21, a woman who cannot attend a Megillah reading in the synagogue for whatever reason must still listen to it read from a kosher Megillah by someone who knows how to read it properly over here. So you can see how important it is. The Chazon Obadiah brings that down, I believe, in 50 to 52 respectively. I think also in the Yakut yourself will brush on that in of itself. Okay. Number 22, it is certainly praiseworthy to bring one's children who are under the age of bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah to the synagogue to listen to the Megillah. However, if the child will cause disturbances during the reading, such as by, let's say, banging too much when Haman's name is read, or talking loudly, or even starts crying, and obviously prevent others over here from fulfilling their obligation of listening to Megillah, then it's better not to bring the child at all. So is the child potentially going to disturb or not? If it's not, it's going to be the child is going to behave, then for sure bring the child. Okay, number 23. And now we're talking about, unfortunately, if someone is deaf or something, unfortunate. Obviously, we don't want anyone to suffer from these situations, but if they did, let's find out laws. A deaf person who cannot hear what he is saying must read the Megillah to himself. Let's say a person that can hear well, a hearing person's obligation is not fulfilled if he heard the Megillah read by such a person over here. Okay, number 24. A blind or a mute person is obligated also to hear the Megillah reading. Now 25. A convert is obligated in the Megillah on Purim and may even read it to others. So I think that was quite straightforward. I didn't see why not. Okay. Reading the Megillah for others over here. What's the laws over here? Reading if one already fulfilled his obligation. He's already read or listened to the Megillah. Now he's reading for someone else. Can he do it? One already fulfilled his obligation to recite or hear the Megillah may nevertheless read the Megillah for one who has not yet heard it. So that will happen to me 4 years ago when I was in isolation because of the coronavirus. The person came and I think he read it in the synagogue, then he came and read in my house. So that's fine. Even though one has already read the Megillah in the synagogue, he may still recite all the Barachot again, including Shechianu, when reading for women or others who did not come to the synagogue yet. So one would have thought maybe if you've already said a bracha, you can't do it again, but no, you can. Chazon Obadiah brings this down in page 65 of Purim over there. Okay. Now we are on reading for women or from a woman. Okay. What's it in? Okay, number 24. One who will be reading the Megillah for women should recite all of the brachot, both the ones before and after the Megillah reading, just as you would in the synagogue over there. However, the bracha of Hakel Hara et Revenu should not be recited unless there are 10 people, men or women, present over here. Now, I'm not sure if you need men or 10 women is sufficient over here. So I would double check on that. That's for sure. Now, there are various sources over here for that. Yabi Omer in 144 and the 846, Yechavidat in 1.88. Chazon Vadia between 91 to 94 bring that down, and various other places. Also, I recommend very much for the people to actually look into. Okay, friends, a woman should not read the Megillah for a man. However, if there is no one else available who can read the Megillah, then she may. So maybe, why ideally not? Maybe breach of tzniut, one could say, or different readings, because probably a man can be part of a minyan, maybe a woman can't. So these are different reasons I would have suggested. I think, look, source number 29 here, Chazon Avadi and Purim 59 will elaborate on that if I'm not mistaken. Okay, over here, now we are talking about allowing a minor to read the Megillah. One must hear the Megillah reading from someone who is also obligated in the mitzvah. Therefore, one may not fulfill his obligation through listening to minor's reading. That's not going to be sufficient, naturally, because he's not bar mitzvah age. Now, treating the Megillah with respect. Obviously, Megillah is something holy. It's a holy item. I recommend everyone to get the Megillah Muhudar, ideally. Okay. Preferably, one should wash his hands before reading from a kosher Megillah that is written on a parchment. So just shows how important that is. Okay, if one's kosher Megillah that is written on parchment falls on the floor, one does not have to fast, but he should give some tzedakah. So obviously we know, I believe, it's brought down that if a Sefer Torah falls down, fasting is required. I'm not sure the exact source of that. But for Megillah, one should give tzedakah if this happens, but I don't think the person will have to fast. Okay, now we're talking about a kosher Megillah here. So naturally, now that Sephardim generally use a Megillah that has an extra page at the end of the Megillah. Many Ashkenazim are not particular to have this over here. If a Sephardi, once we said before, here's a Megillah read from an Ashkenazic Megillah, he nevertheless fulfills his obligation. Now 36. Sephardim are particular to use a Megillah that is attached to a stick at the end. It's an Etz Chaim, for example. Many Ashkenazim don't have this in the Megillot. So this is one of the differences over there. Now, the source that brings it down, number 34, is Shulchan Aruch on this. Chapter 691, number 2. Okay, now we are talking about it's permitted to use a Megillah that has nekudot or te'amim, but one should not initially do so if he has another Megillah that he can, let's say, use instead of this. So ideally not to do it, but if there's none other than, strictly speaking, a Megillah does not need tagin, small crowns at the top of some of the letters. This is what he's bringing down. But it's proper to have tagin to satisfy the opinions of the poskim who require it, because all rabbis, some rabbis differ in opinions over here, and very much in this point. The Chazon Avadi in page 239 will bring that down. Important. Okay. The brachot should preferably not be written at the beginning of the Megillah, but if they are, the Megillah is nevertheless kosher. So ideally not to do it at the beginning, but it's still fine. A Megillah needs to have most of the words kosher, according to this over here. How much is most? That I'm not too sure about. But the Shulchan Aruch in 690, number 3, and Chazon Vadi on page 244 will elaborate within regards to that. Okay. A Megillah is not required to have the word Hamelech at the beginning of every column. Okay, so that's another interesting one. A Megillah that has pictures on it is allowed to be used, but if the pictures have captions, the Megillah should not be used. Initially, one should not purchase such Megillot, so one should not purchase a Megillah like that. Friends, we're learning about the laws of Purim. Anyone that's joining live now, please subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed yet, we're a community here. We are doing a lot on this channel, very much learning some of the laws from a Sephardi lens for Purim. Now, reciting the brachot, what do? We stand or we sit? What's going on? Okay. The Chazan must recite the brachot on the Megillah and must read the Megillah while standing. Okay. Some congregations have the custom to stand during the recitation of the brachot. on the Megillah, and some congregations have the custom to sit. If one is with a minyan that stands during the brachot of the Megillah, then one should also stand with the minyan, even if his own custom is to sit, and vice versa. Okay, those who have the custom to stand during the brachot should follow their custom. Okay, even when reading for a woman at home, however, during the actual Megillah reading, one does not need to stand over there. I believe the source for this is Magen Avraham 690, number 1. Mishnah Berurah also in 690. Very interesting. Okay. When reading in the synagogue, it's proper for two people to stand next to Chazan, one on his right and one to his left. Okay, so that's interesting. That's good to know. Before reading the Megillah, the Chazan should announce that he has intent to fulfill the congregation's obligation of the mitzvah. He should also announce that those who are listening should have intent to fulfill the obligation through the blessings and the reading of Chazan over there. Okay. Number 52. It's proper for the Chazan to unravel the Megillah and fold it before the Megillah, and fold it over before the Megillah. Now, before reciting the Megillah, 3 brachot are recited over here. Al Mikra Megillah, that's the first one. The second one is She'asa Nisim. The third one is before the nighttime reading. One also recites Shechianu. Okay. The nusach of the brachot on the Megillah is Al Mikra Megillah, and not Lishmoa Megillah. Even when reading the Megillah for a woman over here. Okay. Sephardim do not say the blessing of Shechianu on the daytime Megillah reading, while Ashkenazim do. Therefore, if a Sephardi person hears an Ashkenazi reciting Shechianu at this time, he should not answer Amen out loud and should only think it. If a Sephardi is, let's say, reading the Megillah for an Ashkenazi during the day, the Ashkenazi should recite the bracha of Shechianu on his own. If one forgot to recite one of the blessings on the Megillah, he may recite them at any point, even in the middle of the reading of the Megillah. Let's say he lapsed and he didn't concentrate. However, if he already concluded the Megillah reading, he may no longer recite the brachot. If he forgot to recite Shechianu at night, he should recite it then at the daytime reading. Okay. Number 58, an Avel, who is in the 12 months of mourning for the passing of parent, or 30 days of mourning for the passing of sibling, child, or spouse, may read the Megillah for the congregation. Similarly, he may recite all of the blessings when reading the Megillah for himself, or for those who are unable to hear the Megillah in the synagogue. Okay, so that's another interesting pointer over here. Okay, friends, just trying to see if we've got more time at the moment, because it is very late at night. I'm recording this. Okay, we'll do one more small section. Now we're talking about reading along with the Chazan. What over here? If one has a kosher Megillah and wants to read along with the Chazan, he may even recite the blessings with the Chazan over here. However, it's preferable to listen to the brachot from the Chazan and answer Amen along with the rest of the minyan. Okay, one who is using a kosher Megillah and is reading along with the Chazan does not have to unravel his Megillah when reading it. It's proper for anyone who has kosher Megillah to use it when following along with the Chazan, since if one missed a word, he may read it and from his own Megillah and unquestionably fulfill his obligation. If one cannot attain a kosher Megillah to follow along with over here, he should still follow along with the printed Megillah now. And if you miss a word, he should read it from the printed Megillah. So that will still be fine. Okay, preferably if one has a kosher Megillah and he decides to read along with the Chazan, he should read along loud enough to hear his own voice. However, if let's say one read along without hearing his own voice, he's nevertheless fulfilled his obligation. Nevertheless, it's better for one to read out loud with the Chazan. If by doing so he will, but also we've got to be mind and wary that he should not disturb other people over here if he is going to be reading over here. Number 2 more halachot over here. If one cannot attain a kosher Megillah and cannot hear the Megillah being read from a kosher Megillah, he should try to read from the Megillah from a printed book without the blessings, which we said about before. They also say if one cannot even obtain a printed Megillah, then one should recite Hallel without a blessing. Okay, last one over here. One who was feeling asleep while reading the Megillah has fulfilled his obligation. However, one who was falling asleep while listening to the Megillah has not fulfilled his obligation and must hear it again. Okay, friends, we're going to leave it here. And we're going to do another part 2, hopefully in the next couple of days of it. So wishing you blessings, and take care, everyone, and subscribe.